Welcome to this week's episode of Tell Me More. You've just got me and Dr. Wiles. I hope that's okay. We talk about what it means to be a neighbor, what it means to be a friend, where Jesus and the church is and all of that, and just how impactful it can be to have your eyes open to new friendship and to welcome people into the life with Jesus. So it's fun. We also kind of do a little teaser towards Sundays coming up with the survey for flourishing. So stay to the end to hear about that. We look forward to it. Thanks. Welcome back to the studio. It's just the two of us today.
Yep.
You all know that song?
Yep, I do. Yeah, and it's back to the original cast.
Wow.
Luke had to leave today.
Yes. For those of you that don't like change, we're rolling it way back to day one, where it was just Dr. Wiles and I.
That's right. Well, this was the original podcast, Tell Me More, hosted by Katy Reed Hodges, is what it says.
My name used to be on the banner.
That's right, because this was your idea.
On the marquee.
Yeah.
And we used to be over there.
Yeah, we've been everywhere.
In a room that wasn't being videoed, just audioed.
That's right.
And now look at us.
Here we are.
But we're back. Luke is being a good local engagement guy today.
Yes,
he had
is.
an activity at his kid's school that he needed to be at.
Way to go, Luke.
And well, this to be honest, it's Tuesday morning. It's Tuesday afternoon. Yesterday, it was Columbus Day. And so I was home with the kids.
Yep.
And I told y'all you could go on without me, but graciously, you said, we'll wait. And then Luke realized
then Luke couldn't go.
Yeah. So,
yeah. We waited for the three Musketeers to all be here, and then one of them had to leave.
Right. We thought we were,
Oh, well.
By including me, we accidentally excluded Luke. But we got you, Dita.
Sorry, Luke.
And you preached, which is the most important thing.
Got me. I'm here.
So
on a Tuesday. Full day.
We spent a lot of time together.
We've had a full day already. We have had a
good day, though.
Full day, yeah.
You want to let the listeners in on what we did today?
Well, Tuesdays are busy days for us. Full staff meeting today and great time, great staff. We always, or on this particular Tuesday, we have lordship and logistics.
Yep.
So we worshiped first.
We try to do it on the first Tuesday of every month. This is a little different because of conclave last week. But the principles are, to worship together.
Man, Michael Glenn, Brock Snow, Aaron Toms led us in worship. Wow. Yeah. So good. So much talent with those three men, and great staff meeting. Caught up on a lot of things, devotional, and then a lot of calendaring announcements. And then we had lunch with our brother Nabil. He is one of the leading Christian leaders in Lebanon. And we've met him before.
Which turns out if Lebanon's all roads lead to Lebanon.
It is. It's fascinating. From a Christian perspective in the Middle East, Lebanon is...
it's got some great leaders.
Oh, my goodness. It's just it's kind of the crossroads for Baptist ministry in the Middle East. And we have the largest seminary in the Middle East is there. And it's a part of Nabil's ministry that he helped establish years ago, actually connected to a former missionary in Lebanon, Finley and Julia Graham. Long-time missionaries in the Middle East, pretty much heroic missionaries, to be honest with you. And
fun fact about Finley Graham.
Their granddaughter is in our church, Ginger Jonasson. And great-granddaughter Kara is actually at Truett Seminary right now.
Pursuing ministry.
Walking through that very tradition that her great-grandfather forged for her. Great
family.
Awesome family. And Michael and Ginger, Henry, Kara, just a great family. But Finley Graham, I met him when I was in seminary, and he was already to us legendary missionary. But then I've listened to Nabil's testimonies about Finley and all the things that he did while he was working there, and now Nabil is carrying that on and leading this huge ministry in Lebanon.
By all accounts, a great work is happening.
Incredible. And it's intersected us because of Ascent. Our connections in Canada have threads that make it all the way to Lebanon. And so, we've got a lot of connections there. So we're grateful for that. Then we had our MLT, our ministry lead team, met today, and really, really good meeting. You're a part of that. Andy Malorn.
We spent all afternoon together.
Phyllis Lisby, Kirk Grice, Brad Eccles, and I. Yep. We just have had a great afternoon of planning and praying together and looking at the future of our church. So yeah, learning even more about flourishing together, and there's a lot happening these days. First Baptist Arlington,
Yes.
really good.
That would be
and even having church on Sundays.
How about that? Why don't we talk about that? So we did have church on Sunday.
did.
We worshiped together at 8:30 and 11 with
We
Bible
did.
study in between.
So good.
You preached both of them,
I did.
and we're kind of midstream right now in a series
We are.
on close social relationships. And Sunday was about being neighborly.
Yeah. Beautiful day in the neighborhood.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Which I said,
Where'd you get that from?
It was original.
Yeah,
I was just
just
sitting in
came
my
up to you.
study. I was in my study one day, and I thought, wonder what I could say about the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Are you too young to even know Mr. Rogers?
No, I know Mr. Rogers.
Okay.
I do. I didn't watch it. I mean, it was not from my childhood.
Right, of course.
But my kids are now watching Daniel Tiger, which is based on Mr. Rogers.
I was going to say, an offshoot
It
of
is.
Mr.
I mean,
Rogers.
the opening song is a kid's version of It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
which is awesome.
And it's a really good show. And it has the trolley and it has
okay.
Katerina.
I hadn't seen it.
It's really good. Like
Yeah.
they're thoughtful little, like this one we watched.
vignettes.
We watched yesterday was about Daniel going to the doctor, not the doctor, but the hospital for a little ear surgery. So if a kid is about to have surgery, he talks through the very sweet, got little songs, and
That's great.
it's very good. But it's based on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
And he was
Yeah.
great at that right there.
Yes.
He was. And helping us adults. What's funny is it was a children's show, but, parents watched
They're
it.
listening in.
Oh, yeah, because he was just so good.
Bluey has that through this generation.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Do your kids watch Bluey?
They
your
do.
grandkids?
My grandkids love
But
Bluey.
Bluey has, and I've watched it. It has the boys aren't super into it, but it has two levels. It's got the kid level, and it's certainly speaking to the parents about being present in the moment, or being thoughtful parents, or just the sacrificial love. Like it's really a
really
thoughtful
good.
show.
Well, when we were in Australia this summer, we took a photo
the
in
land of
front
Bluey.
of the. There's a famous ice cream place. One of the episodes.
Oh,
from
see, yeah,
Bluey.
we don't know all of it.
And so we got our photo made there, sent it to our
But
grandkids.
Bluey is Australian. I know that.
that
Well,
was awesome.
Fred Rogers. I mean, just talking about it, was a minister. I mean, that was his
Presbyterian
that was his
minister.
heart.
It was.
And so let's not get too far from that.
That's
that
right. This was his calling.
Yes, that it was born out of his Christian identity, which I think is awesome.
Exactly. And helping all of us understand how to have a beautiful day in the neighborhood. That was really the point of the whole thing.
How to be a neighbor.
That's right. So it was really good. And
Yeah.
and in this series,
job.
we've been learning about how, God, as we did some theological reflection early on in the series about the fact that God created us for community, for relationship.
Yeah, this last 6 weeks, 8 weeks, you've preached Genesis 3 twice from two different
That's right.
perspectives. Both
That's
very
right.
thoughtful
Yeah.
sermons. But
Question is, what happened? Why
Right.
why is it so broken? Well, relationships are broken. They were broken in the Garden of Eden. Adam is hiding from God, and they're covering themselves, and then they're blaming each other, and then of course God curses Satan and challenges Adam and Eve both with their futures, and it has just so much theology woven into that original story, and then we've been looking at core relationships, family and friends and church, and then Sunday we decided to expand it a little beyond. Since we all live in a relational web, we all do. We all have this matrix, if you will, of relationships on multiple levels, all different kinds of acquaintances, and we just live in community with other
so
human
even
beings.
if it's not your next door neighbor,
Right.
there are people
Yes,
that
yes.
you're living life with.
Exactly. And that, to me, that sense of neighborhood expands beyond just where you physically live, where your home or your apartment is, even though that is obviously one place where we learn to be neighborly. But to me, it's everywhere you go and how you relate to people, whether it's, grocery store that you go to. In the second service, I had to qualify that to say maybe it's your DoorDash driver or your
Right, you
delivery
gotta be
driver.
thoughtful about. I watched your sermon from the Welcome Home Center, as I often do, as I'm kind of multitasking, serving whoever walks in, basically. But I listened to the first sermon where you talked about the ideas of neighbor, and the references were just specific to an older congregation.
Yeah.
And I just joked with Kurt, okay, I wonder what's coming in the second service, because I can't remember exactly what they were, but
Like going to the grocery store
it was
or the
groceries, pharmacy,
or whatever.
and your grandkids' sports or
Yeah,
something like
that's
that.
right.
That was what it was. And
Go
I
to
was
the
like, okay,
ballpark.
I'm listening to what the illustrations in the second service will be.
Your
So-
DoorDash driver.
Yeah, we don't go to the grocery store much. I don't. I really don't. I sent Ryan yesterday, this is an aside, because I ordered groceries, and the boys drink a lot of milk, and I only ordered one half gallon of milk, and so it went away immediately. immediately. And I was like, hey, he had jury duty yesterday. I was like, on your way home from jury duty, can you grab milk and some chicken nuggets?
Yeah.
And I opened the fridge after he did that, and it was the most expensive milk. And I was like, hey, man, we're not made of gold here. And I'm like, just a good reminder that Ryan doesn't grocery shop for us much. But he got the right kind, and I appreciate that.
There
and
you
the
go.
chicken nuggets were like deluxe, organic chicken nuggets. And I'm like, hey, man, we got to pay for this.
He's not the grocery shopper?
No.
See, I do that all the time. I do. I love the grocery store. I just do. I love doing it myself. I like to do my own thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to think. I don't think we've ever had groceries delivered to our house.
Have you not? Not even during COVID?
No. No,
It was
we
just
went.
an excuse to kind of go out.
Yeah.
We really didn't until the kids.
Yeah.
I did some grocery pickup.
Yeah.
Some, not a
Yeah.
lot. But it's just impossible. That's just such a valuable hour and a half that I could use on a billion other things.
Yeah.
And so I'll let them deliver it.
No, I think that you need to go and take those triplets and load them all in a grocery cart and just go. That's what I think needs to happen.
Lord help
for
me.
sure.
You couldn't pay me
I
enough.
want to wait till they get just a little bit older where they can put stuff in the cart.
Where they can grab.
Oh, yeah, and you
Yeah.
have to argue with them about taking it back out. You need that.
That's a reality
Everybody
show.
needs that.
That's a reality show in itself.
Let me know when you're going to do it. I want to come with
Yeah,
you.
you'd have to. You'd have to. And you'd have to hold one of their hands and deal with them as punishment.
Put that back.
I said put that
Put
back.
that back.
Make a good choice. That's what we're
Where'd
doing
your
right
brother
now.
go?
Yeah.
Where's your other brother?
Sam! Yeah.
Oh, man.
Sam's pushing boundaries right now. He's that kid. I don't know. He's smart and he's just wanting to know how far he can push things. So I do a lot of.
I love it.
Make a good choice, Sam. Like you know exactly what I'm asking you, and now the ball's in your court. And if not, we're gonna have to do.
Come on,
timeout.
Sam. I'm pulling for
I
you
know,
now.
and he is a trouble. He's
He's
going
a
to be
cutie.
trouble.
He is a cutie.
That's the problem. So anyway, neighbors.
So yeah, well, we had to expand a little bit in the 11 o'clock service, which is fine. But
You're making your illustrations relevant.
I tried
which is
to.
Great.
But the idea that we do live in this web of relationships, but also it's contextualized right now by this just epidemic of loneliness. You know, we keep mentioning that, and it's like it's kind of like when I shared that story with the church about how I bought this white vehicle and I never noticed how many of them there are until now. Look, I think everybody drives a white vehicle.
Yep. They're everywhere.
It's that way to me right now. Loneliness and flourishing. I feel like everywhere I go, that's what I hear people talking about or being illustrated or vignettes about it. And it's like it's cross-disciplinary. It just almost doesn't matter what you're talking about, what field people are talking about flourishing. They're also addressing loneliness. And I'd watched a couple of vignettes on CNN about just what's happening to the U.S. right now, primarily the U.S., and just how, you know, when you ask the question of adults, can you name 5 good friends? And now 60% of Americans say no. I don't have 5 good friends, and like 17% of Americans say I don't even have 1 good friend, and that is such a change in the last 20 years.
You know,
or so.
there's stats too about men and women where it's kind of people joke about it, and it is. I think it's funny, but men, if you ask them who their best friend is, most of them say their wife. And women, when you ask them who their best friend is, they actually have a best friend.
Yeah, right.
And I think that's not necessarily true in my home. I'll only speak for mine. Ryan is actually lucky, blessed to have good male friends, and he puts effort in to make those friends. But all that to say, I think there is specifically with like a certain demographic, a real loneliness among men who never learned how to put themselves out there, be vulnerable, share life together, and it's killing us. It's kids radicalizing them online. I mean, it's not good.
It really is, and just that sense of not having someone to go to, just to share your life with, is that's what disturbs me. And then the fact that even among the research that CNN reported about 12th graders, how more and more and more 12th graders at kind of an alarming rate when they're asked the question, do you often feel lonely? How many of them now are saying yes? Which we view them as maybe the most connected socially generation ever, when that's really not the case, that they're isolated in some ways. And then
so they're about to go into a very
oh my goodness. Yeah, a challenging,
decentralized and messy world where, you know, we talk about this, like just university life, university options are not, it's not as linear as it was, good or bad.
It's different.
But it's not like if you're lonely as a senior in high school, I'm not sure you're not going to be lonely the next year.
That's right.
And the year after that.
And even the research that's been done, I can remember when I was on the Board of Regents at Baylor, one of the things that we always looked at was the difference between the freshman class and the sophomore class. That is a point of analysis in every university in America. What is the kind of the rate in which the return rate, if you will, of those incoming freshmen moving into their sophomore year? And it can be a little disturbing sometimes. Not necessarily at Baylor per se, occasionally maybe, but it was more of us looking at it on a national scale. And I, before I went on the board, I never really even thought about that. But that is actually one of the indicators that universities look at when they're trying to determine the health of their institution. What happens to their freshmen? How many of them actually return to their sophomore year? Yeah. As well as how many of them graduate. Obviously, that's a factor as well. But I didn't realize that was such a crucial point in a kid's life.
That return would be significant.
Makes sense if you think about it.
Yeah.
And so just that sense of the contextualization of loneliness in our society. And then on top of that, how we isolate ourselves. I'm old enough to remember my family. It was very common for my family to do life on the front porch. We actually had front porches,
Yeah.
And over my lifetime, we've become a back porch culture. I don't know if you've ever spent any time building a deck on the front of your house. I know you've spent time building a deck on the back of your house.
I built the deck on the back of our house.
I'm not sure you've built one on the front of your house.
No, sir.
I don't know many people who have because we live in our backyards. Well, think about it. Most of them in a setting like ours are surrounded by a 6 or 8 foot privacy fence.
I was going to ask, did you grow up with a chain link fence?
No, there were no fences.
No fence at all?
No.
Okay. Because my old house in an older neighborhood, we had chain link. And even that, you might be surprised, but I talked to my neighbor over the fence a lot in the backyard.
Course. Yeah. We didn't have those where I grew up. We played across people's yards, played ball, no big thing.
Yeah, my house growing up too had chain link. But when we had the kids and moved to a bigger neighborhood, bigger house, nicer, quote unquote, nicer neighborhood. It's all wooden privacy fences.
Of course.
Tall wooden privacy fences. And garages around back.
Garage door openers and closers and so we pull in, close the door, and move on with our lives, and that's just life. And
that's architecture. Isn't that fascinating?
It is.
I mean, it's built to support that.
That's exactly right.
It's not accidental.
Right.
But we don't have a front. We don't even have a place to put like a rocking chair on the front porch. We don't have enough room.
We don't either.
And in fact, my 1950s house did. We had a bench out there, and you could sit on the front porch. That doesn't even exist in our newer house.
That's right. So. Yeah, our house. No one in our neighborhood, I don't guess, really has a front porch.
Haven't you said you've hosted some of our African partners, friends, and they've been like, okay, it's nighttime. What, don't we go check on all our neighbors?
They don't understand. Yeah,
right?
I told that in the second service. I didn't mention the first service.
Oh,
but
did you? I listened to the first service.
Yeah, he's one of our translators in West Africa, and we were about the second or third time I was there. I can't remember now. I'd been there a couple times. I mean, he knows I'm a pastor, but he doesn't quite understand that really.
What that looks like here.
Yeah, it's very different.
Right?
Yeah. So he asked me, he said, so how many cows do you have? And I said, well, he's a Fulani, so Fulani owned cattle. I said, well, I don't have any cattle. And he said, whoa. He said, I thought you lived in Texas. I thought all Texans were cowboys. He has this idea of what life is like.
Sure, yeehaw.
And so then he said, we were sitting around eating one night, and he said, so at the end of the day, are you the elder in the village, or how does that work when all of y'all, when y'all come in from whatever you do, and you're meeting at night? Yeah, you're meeting at night. Who leads that meeting, and how does that work?
Your neighborhood nightly meeting.
Right. And I was sitting there thinking, how do I explain to Bilo that we pull into our garage and sometimes hit the door closer before we even get out of our cars?
Yeah.
And we go in our homes and we're completely self-contained. So I tried to explain that to him, and to him, he
and we really hope we don't see our neighbors.
Right. He had
that's kind
no
of an
idea. He just couldn't. It was on, so I just said to the 11 o'clock service, so we're superior, right? I mean, we have the better culture, right? Because we're all so isolated and lonely. We're
killing it.
That's exactly right. And so this whole idea.
So what do we do?
Making it a beautiful day in the neighborhood is probably more challenging than we want to admit.
Yeah.
And so to me, one of the things we've got to do is realize that there is an issue, so
name it.
That's why I tried to, make a little fun about that song, "This Is for All the Lonely People," which the band America, they wrote that in response to the Beatles song Eleanor Rigby, which is about just loneliness and this lonely woman. I know that's a whole generation ago talking about those two songs, but they communicate something very powerful. Paul McCartney wrote Eleanor Rigby, and it's like, okay, here's this lady who cleans up things at the church. She picks up rice after a wedding, those kinds of things, but nobody notices her. The priest actually does her funeral, but it's just got this sad tone to it. And so the America, that group decided, okay, that's too sad. Let's write a song for the people who think life's passed them by, who think they've missed it, So I think we've got to figure the antidote out to the brokenness in our culture and the loneliness and the isolation. And it's layered by, for us as Christians, we have an additional layer. It's not just that, it's that we're supposed to be disciples and salt and light in our communities, and we're supposed to be making disciples. So we have an added, I would say, layer of opportunity or responsibility, if you want to call it that.
Both, probably.
To do this.
Yeah.
And so there's an impetus for us to not be satisfied with everybody being isolated. We are supposed to provide some kind of answer to that, in my opinion. So, we heard the testimony Sunday morning from Kyle and Rachel Dawsey about
that did well, didn't it?
They hosted a
and just trying
little Halloween
to do some
thing for their neighbors. And I thought it was kind of cool because they had things to do for little kids if they wanted
in their front yard.
In their front yard, and which I think is awesome. And I would just say in my own neighborhood, I didn't say this Sunday morning, but I could have used it up because I've talked a little bit to the church about how I had this kind of frustrating journey in the early part of the later spring, early summer, just trying to get grass to grow in my front yard, just trying to figure this thing out. And
it's been a constant for you for quite some time.
It has. We've had issues.
You versus the grass.
I was so proud the other night. Cindy came home. It was kind of twilight. It was about to get dark. But she pulled in the driveway and she came in and she said, "Okay, I want to go ahead and give you a little credit." I said, "What?" She said, "You conquered the grass this year. We actually have a front yard."
What did that feel
like?
Oh
man, I just kind of ran around the house, and so.
Look at me.
But
look at me go.
But I worked at it. I babied it. I was out there messing with it. Well, guess what? Almost every neighbor in our neighborhood I talk to in my front yard, because our neighbors, they get out and walk. They walk their dogs.
Yeah, you do have a good neighbor.
Yeah,
for that.
They're out and about. And so some of them I don't know very well. But I mean, everybody noticed I'm trying to get this yard to grow. I'm out there hand watering some spots and patching places with grass. And, a couple of the guys would make fun of me. They'd go, "Hey man, just put some rocks there. Give up on that." I say, "No, man, I'm going to get grass right here.
Here I go.
You're not going to believe this." And so I've also enjoyed the same kind of compliments from my neighbors who've come by and gone, "Okay, you did it," And so when Cindy said it the other night, I was like, exclamation point.
Yep.
But the point I was going to make is, I've been in my front yard way more this summer than probably any other time since we've lived there, and I've had more conversations with my neighbors.
Born fruit? What's the past tense? It bared fruit?
It has borne fruit.
There you go. Okay. Didn't feel quite right.
It has, because I've had an opportunity to talk about life with people. Sometimes they're unhurried, just dropping by, and they see me out there working, and we'll stop and visit for a little while. And But I've started, as I've thought about it, I got more intentional with it. So I started noticing some of the patterns of my neighbors. And so I would try to work my time out there around when I knew different people were going to be out walking. So I tried to be more intentional than just doing it on my own time, if that makes sense. And again, I didn't say all that Sunday morning, but that could have been a really good example of things you can do, because it's not a big thing.
Right.
It's not like I'm going to get the John the Baptist Award for evangelism for watering my yard, However,
but you're available in those moments.
Yes, and have had conversation.
You're accepting of those interruptions.
Exactly. One of our neighbors, her husband died, and I had a chance to, she's out walking her dog, and I'm out there watering. And I know I was out of town when the funeral happened, but we had a chance to visit several times, just about life and what's life going to be like for her now. And one of her adult children dropped by one day, and just, I'm out there, and she just thanked me for talking to her mother and just said, "Hey, we'll keep an eye on her," that kind of thing. So it became an intentional thing for me. Well, those are the kinds of things that I believe we're going to have to do to break the ice a little bit in our neighborhoods. Now, granted, we actually have training in an actual ministry called Neighborhood Chaplains that helps with that.
Yes.
You know, where you get this Bless Every Home app on your phone, and it gives you the names of the people who are in your neighborhood, and it challenges you to pray for them. You can even register. Hey, I've prayed for this family today and this family, and that really is where the chaplaincy ministry begins in your neighborhood. Is just praying for people. Anybody can do that. You know, you don't have to be an extrovert.
But you better be ready to see what God brings your way.
Because, yes, it could happen for sure. And so yeah, I feel like we've got to make those tangible steps. Now, you know, there's, to me, when it comes to being salt and light, as I said Sunday morning, there are big picture concerns that we should all have. Absolutely. We're supposed to be faithfully present in our communities. You know, I talked about James Davison Hunter's book, To Change the World, and how he's done all this research on how do you actually change a culture? What does that mean to change the world? And who's actually done it? If you just look back through the different epochs in history, what have really been world-changing events, and what would be the impetus behind it, or how can you measure that you've done that? And the reason he does that is because he researched all these Christian organizations and just gave a listing of how many of them say in their mission statement, we're here to change the world. And he said, that's such a grandiose kind of claim or desire. Understand the sense of it and the sentiment behind it, but he questions the rationality of it. In other words, is that, I mean, seriously? You're going
is this your best aim?
World peace.
Yeah. Got it. Let's do it. Go.
But his challenge is, why don't you start with something that you can do and then give God the opportunity to work? So he challenges us to be faithfully present. And that's to be done on a grand scale, I think. And that to me is where your Christian sense of justice and trying to make sure things are done well in your community, and you have an obligation to that. And depending upon your position of influence, then I think your responsibility is commensurate to that. And so, you know, that's why I told the story about Chuck Colson. You know, well, he felt like he did not do that while he was in the White House. He had the opportunity to do it, but he didn't because he wasn't a Christian, and he really had no desire to do it. But once he became a believer, next thing you know, he's in federal prison. Well, how do you change the world from federal prison? Well, it's in his humility and in his brokenness. That's how he did it. And what he carried with him the rest of his life was his ministry was completely tied to his own personal failure. You know, so he had to carry a sense of humility about himself, because the only reason he started a ministry in prisons is because he himself was an ex-con.
Went to prison.
Exactly. And so think about his biggest failure becomes the greatest strength of his ministry, if you will. And it's just a beautiful example of how God just does this sometimes. But, and I think that kind of illustration should encourage us, you know, to say, okay, sometimes you've just got to say, no, this is not right. You know, Rosa Parks decided, I'm not going to get my seat up today. You know, I'm just not going to do it. Not today. I'm not going to do it today. And here's this little diminutive woman in Montgomery, Alabama that nobody's ever heard of. But guess what? It was kind of the shot heard around the world, you know.
It was a catalyst, wasn't it?
Yes, and praise God that this woman had a sense of justice in her to go, no, not. I'm a human being just like you are. And it wasn't rebellious. It was just right, you know. And sometimes you get on that grand stage. You do, even if you don't necessarily desire it. You may find yourself on it. Well, okay. Use what's available and bring justice, you know, to the world. I would say, like somebody like Abraham Lincoln, when Lincoln gets elected president, I think Lincoln knew that things were broken in America and something was going to have to be done. I don't believe he knew there was going to actually be a war, though, you know. But that's what he got. That was the hand that was dealt him. Well, to me, he managed that really well. You know, he said, okay, I'm gonna have to lead this, and I've got to believe in this union, but there's got to be justice for everybody that's here. Somehow we got to fix this. And so I'm so grateful that men like him and women like Rosa Parks and so many other stories you could tell where people just said, okay, this right here needs to be fixed. Well, that's salt and light. I'll say all that to say this, though. Very few of us get that, though.
Yeah, so go smaller. What's the smaller?
I don't know that that'll ever happen to me or to us.
Well,
that's okay.
From like a Fresh Expressions perspective, which is kind of in the Ascent tribe.
Right.
They do church planting in a new Fresh Expressions of church is kind of their thing.
Exactly.
How do you create church where it might not exist? But their kind of tagline, or at least what I took away from reading the material and talking to a lot of their leaders, is basically do what you already would do, but do it in a way with your eyes open of how could this create community?
Exactly.
How could I have spiritual conversations? So if you like biking, join a biking club and go biking, but just be attentive to where God would have people strategically in your life that you could have spiritual conversations with. If you love coffee, well, join a coffee roasting group. If you love books, join a book group.
Exactly.
And just do what you love.
So many things.
But do it in a way where your eyes are open and then see what God's doing.
That's right.
And then their thing is then you can start spiritual conversations, which could then lead to Bible studies, which could lead to then fresh expressions of church.
Right.
And they have all these examples of people faithfully doing it. Our friend Matt Lake, who we talk about, kind of one of our ministry crushes on the East Coast, they had one they called it at the Pajama Factory because it was an old pajama factory, but it was like a dinner club for people who would never come to church traditionally. But people had affinity and they started hanging out, and it went to, and now it's its own expression of church for a subsection of their community that just wouldn't walk into their church and find them as the fresh starting point. And so I think when we talk about what can you do, like application in your small world, it might look more like a picnic table in your front yard on Halloween or roasting hot dogs. Or I have a passion for making ceramics. Well, then go take a ceramics class and just put yourself with people who already like something that you like and be yourself, which is a Jesus follower. And just see what comes from that.
Right.
And I think that's the faith. How did you call it? Faithful witness?
Yeah,
faithful presence?
faithful presence,
That's
yeah.
faithful presence. And it might not revolutionize the prison system.
Right.
But it could change somebody's life.
Exactly. And I think that to me is where we all live. And that's what I love about that, Katie. It's so practical. And Justin Whitmore Early says, the way he talks about it is we have these friendship circles, and he says just make sure that they stay open. It doesn't mean that you can be friends with everybody, but maybe just one more somehow. Maybe that one more may not end up being your friend, but may end up finding a friendship circle within your circle that's going to open the door for there to be more friendships.
You'd hate to think that we found friendship and then closed it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why, exactly. You know, there are people that are lonely.
Knowing that there's just you look out your window and there's a lot of lonely people, but you're like, man, what I got is so good.
Yeah. Don't mess it up.
Don't touch it.
And that was why I shared that story about Dr. Langley. Here I was, this young preacher in Mertens, Texas, and Dr. Langley was kind of an icon to me. He's one of my favorite preachers. I've never known a preacher like Ralph Langley. Every preacher kind of has their own voice, is what I would say. And Dr. Langley just had this, he just had this certain creative, very fascinating approach to communication that was indigenous to who he was. And I just admired him so much. And I saw him preach at seminary. I'll never forget, he walked in the pulpit. I was somewhat of an expositional preacher. That's not really true. I wasn't any kind of preacher hardly. I was just learning. I was trying to figure it out.
Yeah, hindsight, you may say, that's kind of what I was working at.
I'm not sure what I was.
In the moment, who knows?
So Dr. Langley walks in the pulpit at Southwestern. They introduce him, and he's pastor at First Baptist Huntsville, Alabama, which is, my home state. And he had this just real winsome presence. And he walks in the pulpit at seminary, and he opens his Bible, and he says, Mark, motivated, action, repent, kingdom. That's the story of Mark. That's the whole gospel of Mark in a nutshell. And then all of a sudden he just does this just really quick hitting, acrostic based thing. And I was just mesmerized, and so he preached a revival for us at seminary. So I went back that night and went the next day. And anyway, so I find myself standing in a hotel lobby in San Antonio, and there he is. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to go meet him. No, I'm not. I'm like, what am I going to say to him? And then I think, I'm just going to go up and introduce myself to him. And then I thought, and somebody else would be talking to him. I'd go, why would I do that? He would care about somebody like me. I am just a peon seminary student. And finally, all of a sudden, he starts walking to the elevator, and I thought, okay, I just walk up to him and say, Dr. Langley, I just want to meet you. I'm from Alabama, and my name's Dennis Wiles. And then that led to this long conversation, ends up a lifetime relationship. I preached his funeral. I think about how he shaped me in so many ways. And so when I get to Huntsville eventually, which we had no idea that was going to happen, and I'm talking to him, he's our pastor emeritus, and I just said, Ralph, you met me in a hotel in San Antonio. He said, I remember that. He said, you're in Mertens, Texas. And I said, why would you even have a conversation or why would you write me a handwritten letter? And he looked at me and he said, well, I always have room for one more friend, don't you? He said, don't ever close off. You should always have. He said, you have no idea who you're going to meet and how they're going to change your life. Okay, well, he wasn't my neighbor per se, but lesson.
It's friendship.
Oh my goodness. And it changed me, you know? I mean, I learned from Dr. Langley. And what's funny is Paul Powell became a huge influence in my life as well. And one day I was in Paul's office and he had these little note cards on his desk and he was writing notes. And I said, so you like these handwritten notes too, don't you? He said, yeah, I learned it from Ralph Langley. He said, I did a revival with Ralph Langley and I got home and he'd written me a handwritten note and I loved it. And he said, I thought, you know what, I'm going to start writing handwritten notes.
I can do that too.
Yeah. And I've got several of those from Paul, several of them from Ralph. And Paul had that same kind of feeling of opening his life up to another person. So I guess that's what I want to say to our people. Okay, I get it. Right now, we're nervous about everything. We're so afraid somebody's going to steal our identity. Somebody's going to scam us. Somebody is going to take something from us. So they're out to get us. There's that sense in my culture right now. And all that does is lead to just more and more and more and more isolation. Somehow we've got to find our way to more healthy views of other human beings and give God a chance. I don't mean we should get taken advantage of or do things that are harmful. That's not my point. I just think we just can't close ourselves off. It's detrimental to us. It's a death sentence for people outside the family of Christ. If believers are not going to have relationships. And that's another thing I like about Early. Early said, well, I was a missionary in China. He said, well, we were trained in apologetics. We were trained to handle conversations about the kind of the secular, atheistic, communistic philosophy of life, and to speak life into that from a Christian perspective. He said it was somewhat, I'm using my words for what he said, but he said it was somewhat argumentative in tone. I'm going to defend the gospel.
Defensive, yeah.
And he said, and it worked. He said, we reached people because there was this give and take. He said, but I don't live there anymore. I'm in America. In America, he said, secularism is just a mood. It's just, people don't even know it. They don't even realize they're functional atheists. They don't even know. It's just the water they swim in. It's kind of like the old joke about the two goldfish where one of them says, well, how's the water today? And the other one says, what water? You don't even know that that's where you are. That's his point about our culture. He says they don't know they're functional atheists. They don't realize they're living their lives outside of who God is.
Don't think about it.
They don't think about it. They'll sing God Bless America. They'll pledge allegiance to the flag. They'll even listen to some politician end his message by saying God Bless America. And they'll go, yeah, great. Absolutely. God Bless America.
Good. Yeah.
But they have no clue. And he said, you don't need to argue with them. That's not going to work with them because they don't even know they're in an argument. He said, so you don't interrupt that with argument. You interrupt that with presence. And it's relationship and friendship. He says, that's the currency of evangelism in this culture. I 100% agree with that.
I'd have to agree. I think it's even Gary Stidham maybe that said it, and we love Gary. Y'all know that. Gary, hi, if you're listening. Something like welcoming is the new apologetics. Yeah. Hospitality is the new apologetics. I agree. For winning people.
Yes, and listening to people and learning who they are.
We all know we have to know what we believe, and we have to be confident in our faith. Yeah. That's not what I mean. But how you win people over is less answering all their questions and actually showing them the love of Jesus and how it transforms lives.
That's what I think.
That's really attractive right now.
I agree.
And wouldn't it be neat for us to be a part of that?
Well, to me, and we've used this analogy before, but it's like I have a skeleton, but that's the first thing you touch. I mean, the Lord knows I have to have a skeleton, or I would have no way to control my life,
we just
my body.
Mm-hmm.
But there's all this flesh So the first thing you touch, now if you push me hard enough,
You get it.
you will, but that's not how it starts. Well, to me, relationships are that way. I don't have to start my conversation off with you to tell you that I'm a centrist Orthodox Christian who believes in the virgin birth of Jesus and the sinfulness of humanity and the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ and the hopeful return of Jesus. I believe the Bible is the authoritative word of God. And if you don't embrace Christ as your Savior, I believe you're going to spend eternity in hell. And I think that you should be,
They're going to walk away.
yeah,
They're
I
all
believe
going
all
to
that.
walk away.
I believe all that.
Sure.
But also care about you as a person and would love to know more about you. And maybe one day we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Now, if I don't ever get to that and we spend 6 years in a relationship, well, that's kind of on me. But if you don't notice that about me, that's also on me.
If they can't tell what's the most important thing in your life,
Exactly.
then you need to do a little examination.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
But I believe we can do it, y'all. And that to me is a part of flourishing. It's us expressing who we are faithfully, salt and light, but doing it in a way that honors the other folks.
Okay.
So yeah.
Speaking of flourishing,
Yes.
let's take a half second. One,
Wow, flourishing.
mostly toward the end.
Yeah.
This podcast is sponsored by First Baptist Church Arlington.
And aren't we glad?
And check out the website for everything going on.
That's right.
Midweek. It's all rolling. Midweek. There's a
Stuff
lot
is happening.
good. Service of Remembrance, which is important to me, is in 10 days, maybe a little more. Next Sunday.
And this coming Sunday,
let's talk about it.
coming Sunday and next Sunday, we're actually going to do
Speaking of flourishing,
we're going to do a flourishing survey.
the survey that we've been talking about
forever.
It's coming your way. Not the 12th question, the flourishing in the church survey.
That's right.
That Kate Long's been working on.
So
I
good.
know, it is a good survey.
It's so
We're going to
good.
learn a lot.
So
We'd love
good.
for you to participate.
Yes.
In fact, we're asking you to participate. They have to say something
coming Sunday.
as the Harvard IBR, and it's that the review board has to, tell them that you can't be coerced, you can't do this. But I'm telling you, take the dang survey.
Yeah, we want you to
No, I'm
take
just
it. It's
kidding.
so good.
Take it if you can. But
And
it's
it'll
really
help
helpful.
us. It'll help you. It'll help us.
Yeah, it's really about how our church is serving our people. So, there's questions about prayer or developing spiritual disciplines. And if we realize y'all are answering really low on some, oh my gosh, we need to
right. As a
fill those
church,
gaps.
we need to address it. That's right.
We need to celebrate, and then we need to get better.
You got it.
So, but the next 2 Sundays, the 19th and the 26th, are going to look markedly different, right? So this Sunday and the next, Dr. Wiles, you want to tell us
Yeah,
what
at the
to be
very
looking
end
for?
of the worship service, we're going to quit a little bit early, and we're going to give everybody an opportunity while they're sitting in the room to take the survey. It's about 70 questions. Takes about 10 to 12 minutes ish, give or take. We want you to just go through it, answer with your first blush, and there will be a QR code. There's also a web link, if you will, is that what we call it?
Yeah, if you like to scan QR codes, we got it.
do that.
If you'd rather type it into a browser, we got that too.
And we're going to have some college students scattered throughout the sanctuary Sunday morning who are very adept at helping people do that. So if that's a little bit of an issue on your phone, we're also going to have people manning computers in the Welcome Home Center.
Yep.
You can do it in there.
Yep.
You obviously can take it home, do it at home. Some of you may have little children and you're sitting there thinking, I can't do this with 3
You can do it
preschoolers.
after bedtime.
But that's fine. But just over the next week or so, we want everybody in our church who's willing to take it. And it will. It's a self-assessment, help you kind of see where you are personally with regard to flourishing in your own spiritual life.
Yep.
It's a word about our church.
But we'll get a report back. Obviously, not your answers. They want us for your name.
It's all anonymous.
In fact, they've told us, and we joked about it, they can't even trace your IP address.
Right.
So there is truly no way to get it back to you. Once it's sent, it's anonymous.
Right.
But they'll put the data together for us, and we'll get to see
we'll get to look at the
whole
trends.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I'm excited.
I think it's going to be really good and help us connect ourselves to this next year's journey in flourishing. So flourishing together.
We love it. So come both Sundays. We'll still have worship through music, worship through offering, worship
right.
through sermon, all that.
You got it.
But
All that's gonna
A
happen.
little truncated so that we have time for this as we've kind of committed to be part of the Flourishing in the Church initiative.
Amen.
Which I'm pumped about.
I am too. Looking forward to
it's
it.
good people. So, okay. We've talked.
Wow, we have, but it's been good.
I think so. We'll be back next week with Luke, I believe.
Yeah, see what happens.
Okay. Y'all have a great week, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for listening to the Tell Me More podcast today. You can subscribe to this podcast on your app of choice, or you can visit us at fbca.org to find out more information about the podcast and our church. Thanks for listening. Have a good day.